Hey everyone, today we're going to be doing a mock interview with a question given to us by Instacart on CodeSignal. So Instacart is just a delivery app where you would like order groceries and stuff. It's not sponsored. I wish it were, but it is what it is. So today I'm going to be going through how I would solve it had I been in an interview. And I'm going to be writing this in C++, but feel free to join along, and I'm going to link this problem in the description below so you guys can write it in whatever language you want. CodeSignal is a really good app, and it's really helped me with my coding interviews. I haven't gotten a call back, but still really helpful. Not sponsored as well. I wish it were, but oh well. So without further ado, let's just start the video. The first thing we're going to want to do inside of our interview is actually not code. The first thing we actually want to do is just demonstrate to our interviewer that we understand the software development lifecycle and implement these steps within our interview. So there's six steps to the software development cycle. There is, first of all, planning, analysis, design, implementation, testing, and maintenance. So we don't have to do any maintenance because this is just a one-time thing, but let's go over each of these steps. So the planning is just basically just understanding the problem. Analysis is understanding how we can personally solve the problem. Design is just making a simple mock-up of how we are going to solve the problem. 4 is implementation, which is the coding. And 5 is testing it out. So we're going to do each step one by one. So let's start. Alright, so here's the coding problem. So you guys don't actually need to read through every single thing, and you guys can skim through most of it. Alright, but be sure to still understand it, right? So over here, it says that Insta customers are able to set delivery windows during which they want to receive groceries. Alright, but there are plenty of shoppers in the areas that are ready to take a customer's order, but they can't get to do it right away. Alright, and this is just a bit of a story, right? But once you read about in the 4th line, it says that our task is to implement an algorithm that determines whether shoppers should take a given order or not. All right, now that's the entire planning stage. All right, now the next thing we're going to want to do is just go ahead and jump into the analysis stage. So in the analysis stage, you're going to sort of dive more deeper into the actual understanding of the problem. So over here, it has the given user input, right? So it has the order, all right, and then it has the shoppers. So what it means by shoppers is that each of these arrays is simply just a shopper, or not a shopper, a delivery guy, all right? And then what it does is it returns the values false and true, all right? So if you keep reading here, it says that the store is located 200 meters away from the customer's house. And the customer wants to receive it in 20 minutes, but it shouldn't be delivered in more than 15 minutes late. So ideally, what the customer wants is to receive it 20 minutes from the current time. All right? But if you can't do it, then make sure it's at least 15 minutes, 15 minutes of a window. All right? Now it talks about the first shopper. So the first shopper is 30 minutes away from this, or 300 meters away from the store. He has a speed of 40 meters per minute, and he spends 5 minutes in the store. All right. So what we do then is just simply apply a simple time formula where we grab the distance, all right, and then we divide that by the speed, all right, and then we simply add the extra 5 minutes that we might have. So it goes to show that the person will have 17.5 minutes to fulfill the order. However, what happens is that it's less than the time that the person wants to wait. So it's not a very efficient solution, or not a very efficient idea. However, the second shopper is 600 meters away, and he has a speed of 40 meters per minute. And he will spend about 10 minutes into the store, which means it will take him, and we just apply the same math, the same formula where we add the two distances, divide it by the speed, and add the time inside of the store, which is then just 30 minutes to fulfill the order. Now, since the customer can wait between 20 and 15 extra minutes, so 35, this means that it can make it in time. So now we've successfully figured out analysis, or the understanding of the problem. now we can begin to design it. All right, so for the design portion of this interview, you don't actually need to always draw diagrams. Like for this problem, I don't really see a reason to draw a diagram. If you guys can somehow make some sort of case to make one and actually are able to make one, then, well, good job, I guess. So another portion of design is to be able to write effective pseudocode, right? So our pseudocode is just going to have our basic coding steps, all right? And then inside of our next step, aka the implementation, we're going to take the pseudocode and convert it into real code, all right? So the first thing we're going to want to do is go ahead and loop through each vector, all right? So you're going to go ahead and just write step 1, loop through each vector, all right? Then the next thing you're going to want to do is go ahead and figure out the number of minutes it takes to, the cart person, the delivery guy, all right? So to do this, you're going to want to do is, so figure out the minutes, right? So find out the minutes, right? So notice here that we're not actually doing any sorts of math or any code here, right? That's because we don't need to do it. We are just writing basic instructions, all right? And for step 3, all we have to do is just, run the if statements, right? Check to see if they can make it on time. If they can make it on time. All right. And then we're just going to want to go ahead and return the result. Return true / false. All right. And boom, that's all we have to do. That's our entire design portion of our interview. Now, the next thing we're going to want to do is just code it out. And this is actually the most vigorous and intimidating part. So I guess we just have to start. All right, so in CodeSignal and in usually any other coding problem, you get a little bit of boilerplate code. If you guys don't, then, well, I guess you're going to have to make it yourself. So over here we have a function called delivery. All right, and it's basically saying to return a Boolean vector, okay? And for the order, right? So for the order, remember this. For the order, we're given an integer vector, all right? And then we're also given in a double vector or a 2D vector, I think that's what they're called. And it's for the shoppers, right? For the number of shoppers. All right, so as explained in the last step, the first thing we're going to want to do is just go ahead and loop through every single vector, all right? So to do this, all we have to do is just make a for loop, or I is greater than, what's it called? Shoppers.size. Wait, nope. Oops. Shoppers.size. All right. That's not right. And then we just go I++. Okay. All right. Now, the next thing we had to do was go ahead and find out the number of minutes it takes. But before we're going to do that, we're actually going to also want to go ahead and create a Boolean vector. The reason why we're creating the Boolean vector up above here is because if we make it prior, then what could happen, like if we make it afterwards, it might lead to a segmentation fault. All right. So vector Boolean is going to just be your decision. All right. Or actually, let's just call it results. Okay. Now, as I said earlier, now the second step is just to find out the minutes. So to do this, we're actually just going to go ahead and look at the formula here, which is 300 plus 200 divided by 40 plus 5. All right. And what we're going to want to do is just go ahead and create an integer called minutes. Or actually, we're going to want to use a float. Float minutes. Okay, and what we're going to want to do is just go ahead and set that equal to. So first of all, we're going to go ahead and just get the order. All right, dot at. Wait, let me actually just zoom this out. Here we go. order.at, and it's going to be at the 0th index of order. The next thing we're going to want to do is go ahead and add the shopper's, what's it called? The shopper's speed. Or not the speed, the distance. All right. So to do that, we're just going to want to go shoppers.at I dot at the 0th index, so the first one. Okay. The next thing we're going to want to do is go ahead and take that value, and we're actually going to want to go ahead and put this in brackets. All right. And what we're going to want to do is just go ahead and divide that with the shoppers. What's it called? We're going to want to divide that with the, we're going to want to divide it by the 40. Yeah, we're going to want to divide it by their speed, which is just 40, right? Dot at I dot at 1. All right, then the next thing we will want to do is go ahead and add over the time it takes them in the store. So we're just going to want to go shoppers dot at I dot at 2. All right. Now that we've finished the next step is just to see if they can make it on time. Now, in order to do this, we're just going to have a simple if argument. So the first argument is just going to be an if the number of minutes is equal to the order dot at 1 plus order dot at 2. So what that just does is it checks to see if the minutes is equal to the order at the first index or at the second index and the third index. All that does is it just checks to see the minimum amount of time that it needs it in and the maximum amount of time that it can receive it on, right? So it would just be 20 and 15. All right. And if it is equal, then all we just have to do is go ahead and just go into shoppers, or not shoppers. We're going to want to just go into results and just go ahead and push back. We're just going to want to push back true. Okay. Now the next thing we're going to want to do is just go ahead and make an else if statement. And it's just going to go ahead and check to see if the order when at the first index, right, or actually the second index. Okay, so this would just be 20 here, right? And that's the minimum amount of time they want that. If that itself is greater than or equal to the number of minutes. All right, and we also need to make sure that if it is greater than or equal to the number of minutes is still less than the sum of these two numbers. So to do that, all I'm going to do is just go and minutes is less than order dot at 1 plus order dot at 2. Now, if this is true, what we want to do is once again go ahead and return and just insert true. So we're just going to go results dot pushback. All right, now if that's also false, or if that's also like the if statement's also false, then all we're just going to want to do is just go ahead and just return false. All right, now if that itself is all completely, now once all that's done, all we're just going to want to do is just return results. Okay, now we've successfully written out our code. All right, now comes in the main course, which is testing. Now we're just going to want to run that. Okay, and as you can see, we got a nice green mark. That is correct. Now you might be thinking, okay, the interview's over, we're done. Well, we're actually not done just yet. Now your interviewer is likely going to ask you, hey, whatever your name is, what is the time complexity of this? All right, now for time complexity, I'm going to have a video on that in the future, but hopefully you guys already know what that means, right? So over here, I would say the time complexity is O of n. This is because I'm looping through every single possible shopper. As a result, the speed of this program is dependent on the numerical value of the input. Now, while O of n isn't the best solution, in this situation, it's the only solution that's possible. All right, and space complexity. And what space complexity is in a nutshell, is how much space your program takes up. So space complexity is constant, or O of 1. This is because I'm not actually storing any data, and any data that I am, indexing is completely constant. All right, and I'm not keeping it anywhere. I'm just finding it, grabbing the value, and that's it. Okay, and then if the interviewer asks for any, questions or concerns regarding your program, well, you're going to want to just like adjust them accordingly. All right. And if they have any more, behavioral questions, then you're going to want to, work with that. But that's the end of it for this video. So what we learned today was just how to, write a proper or do a proper coding interview using the steps of the software development lifecycle. Thank you guys for watching. Have a nice day.